We sometimes limit ourselves because of fear. We sometimes settle for less because we are afraid to fail, and we sometimes accept things the way they are because we fear change. Always believe in yourself and strive for the best. Hello there. Thanks for joining us on another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. Don't go anywhere. There is still more to come. Please stay with us.
Calling all creators, join the JIS Creators Challenge.
We want to see your unique perspective on why you love Jamaica.
Whether it's through a Jamaican adventure, arts and craftsmanship, or Jamaican cuisine.
A party lifestyle or a celebration of our Otamaniwan people culture.
Unleash your creativity in a video 1 minute or less, showcasing why you love Jamaica.
Follow us on all our platforms for more info on how to enter and prizes to be won. Stay tuned!
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, March 13, 2024. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark announced several tax benefits in his opening presentation of the 2024-2025 budget debate in Parliament yesterday. They were in line with the theme of his message, leveraging economic stability in the people's interest. A well-anticipated announcement is the increase in the personal income tax threshold from $1.5 million to $1.7 million. This takes effect on April 1. Minister Clark says the government will absorb the $9 billion cost to implement this program.
Raising the income tax threshold is the policy of this government.
Explaining the effects of granting a possibly higher increase, Dr. Clark says moving the threshold to $2 or $3 million would cost the government over $45 billion. He asserts that this level of absorption without accompanying measures would reverse fiscal gains and deviate from what pertains under associated legislation.
It requires that our expenditures, our revenues do not exceed our expenditures, which means that we don't borrow to pay interest. It's not feasible to accommodate a net expenditure of these magnitudes this year and still stick within the ambit of our laws.
Meanwhile, approximately 570,000 individuals will benefit from a one-off reverse tax credit of $20,000 in cash. Beneficiaries are persons earning $3 million or less who have been paying statutory deduction and personal income tax. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says this initiative, which is a first for Jamaica, will cost the government $11.4 billion to implement.
There's going to be an established system for the processing and payment of the reverse tax credit to be managed by the Tax Administration Jamaica. This will take some time to set up before it's ready, because we want to set it up in a way that is durable so that the mechanism can be potentially available again in the future.
The reverse tax credit will be implemented this year. Also, coming out of the budget presentation, effective April 1, persons will no longer need guarantors to access loans from the Students' Loan Bureau, SLB.
The requirement of a guarantor for student loans is regressive, as it discriminates against low-income families who cannot as easily, if at all, find guarantors for student loan.
According to the finance minister, data from the SLB shows that payments are hardly made by guarantors. Furthermore, he says the National Identification System, NIDS, will help with this new SLB policy.
We anticipate that by the time the first batch of students graduate who have benefited from this policy, the National Identification System, or NIDS, will be a reality. We will not need guarantors to find people anymore.
In other news, Dr. Kevin Blake has been appointed as the new Commissioner of Police with effect from March 19, 2024. The announcement was made by Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang at today's post-cabinet press briefing. Minister Chang says the terms of contract for the outgoing Commissioner, Major General Anthony Anderson, ends on March 18, and the letter of appointment was received for Dr. Blake.
Dr. Blake is one of the Deputy Commissioners, and all 4 Deputy Commissioners were interviewed and looked at, because We think we have reached a level in the force where the promotional process is such that the individuals who rise to the top all have the capacity to go forward. And we had 4 deputies who I think were excellent police officers. They were interviewed, and the Service Commission identified Dr. Kevin Blake, who is among the younger deputy commissioners, as the best prospect to lead the force at this point in time.
Minister Chang expressed confidence in Dr. Blake's ability to lead the force. And finally, CARICOM is now finalizing consultations to name the members of the Transitional Presidential Council being set up to accelerate measures for bringing stability to Haiti. The council will consist of 7 voting members and 2 from civil society. Its establishment was announced on Monday at an emergency meeting of CARICOM, international partners, and the Eminent Persons Group. Speaking at today's post-cabinet press briefing, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, said stakeholders were taking the views and concerns of the public into consideration.
I heard people saying, well, why, Haiti needs elections, they don't need a council. But if you don't have a constitution in place, then how do you hold elections? Who comes up? Who stands up and says they're going to run an election or they're going to run in an election? You need a process. So who defines that process under the Haitian Constitution? It's a provisional electoral council. The aim was, therefore, to have a consensus around a body that would exercise these powers, that would allow different bodies to come together and say, well, this is how we will proceed in appointing the council, which can then define and establish a process towards elections. And in all of this, of course, security is required.
The Transitional Presidential Council will, among other things, select an interim prime minister and appoint a council of ministers. It will also establish a National Security Council and set essential criteria for the selection and establishment of an impartial provisional electoral council. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
Have you heard? Starting April 1, 2024, the JUTC fares will drop by 50%. And here's your key. To enjoy these savings, you'll need the JUTC Smarter Card. The JUTC fares come April 1, 2024 will be as follows. Regular fare, $50, children's fare, $20, and the fare for pensioners, $25. But wait, there's more. New and existing cardholders will benefit from an additional 3 free rides. Ready to hop on board? Swing by the Halfway Tree Transport Center, JUTC's downtown hub, or the Greater Portmore office to obtain or replace your Smarter Card. Just bring your ID, birth certificate, and the cash to load onto your Smarter Card. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Sign up today and secure your Smarter Card.
Seeing, hearing, and certainly experiencing physical violence can lead to trauma. Children often suffer in silence because they are afraid to speak up. And this can take a toll on their mindset and even lead to a state of depression. Do you or anyone you know of children who have experienced something like this? The government has a program geared to help victims of crime. Let's take a look.
Children sometimes see too much. At other times, they hear too much. And many of them feel too much. There are situations where children become victims of crimes, seeing, hearing, and feeling too much of its effect. The hurt and trauma can linger without the proper intervention strategies. This is where government's Victim Services Division comes in. The VSD is having a far-reaching and sweeping impact as it provides help to this vulnerable group.
The Victim Services Division is that division within the Ministry of Justice, which is responsible for coordinating the ministry's support base for victims of crime. Anyone can become a victim of a crime. Victims of crime are often persons who suffer just about any crime you imagine. There are sexual crimes, small children, there is robbery, there is unfortunate, there is murder, wherein the primary victim, though, has deceased. The secondary victim, which is the family members, are there for the support that we give. We recognize that our victim population was getting younger. Whilst we still would have to communicate with them some of the complex concepts that are a part of the therapeutic process. Hence, we needed to find a medium that will allow for us to use their type of language, colors and sounds and movement.
Well, that medium the ministry found was the use of an animation bundle. It is comprised of 8 short films that offer therapeutic intervention and lessons to children who are victims of crime.
Your daughter was almost abducted today, but she was smart. She ran away. However, there is more she could have done. Walking with headphones on is a dangerous habit. You must be alert. Pay attention to your surroundings and the dangers around you.
Our animation strategy involves the creation of a character called Justy. And Justy represents all that is good and right about what should be done when a child is faced with a difficulty. A child seeing the animation immediately will be able to interact. They are short animation films, so the attention span of the child is not hampered in any way. And our intent is not just for them to watch Justy, but to become and to embody the teachings, the values of Justy in order to help other children.
I have not left the house in over 3 weeks. I came here to work as a helper, and now he tells me that I'm going to work at a nightclub.
Put these on and get ready. We're leaving for the nightclub in half an hour.
Anyone can be trafficked. It does not matter your age, gender, or race.
We also ensure that we would have elected to choose specific topics which were current and will remain current. Abduction is a reality. The matter of being bullied is a reality. Human trafficked is another reality, and among others. There are 8 animation films. And these are current, we have seen over time. We have had the opportunity to have children literally vet the animations, and we are very comfortable that they have the content that will reflect concerns that children would want to share with their friends.
But why was the Victim Services Division so sure that these animated videos would have or will even continue to pull the required effect?
The process of developing an intervention involves doing an assessment. We would have had the benefit of, over the last 20 years, 200,000 victims that we would have been able to assess. We would have had clear understanding of what needs to be done to provide support for the victims of crime, hence the program VSD. What we did was to use that 20 years of experience. We have a cadre of trained social workers, psychologists, various levels of competencies to work with children. And we have just managed to package this entire expertise into 8 animations. I am absolutely confident that they have what it takes to make a difference.
So even in all the challenges, the Victim Services Division is working to provide psychosocial support for victims of crime. The division is committing its unit to the advancement of victim rights, including those of our children. And your role can be as simple as speaking up.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Some females may experience extreme pain at times without knowing the cause of it. There are instances where they feel as if the pain is overbearing. Are you one of those people? We have just the feature to educate you about the issue that might be causing that pain. Come, we'll show you.
I was always so miserable during my period, for as long as I can remember. The pain was so severe. I remember not having an appetite, nauseous. It was difficult to stand. It felt like a monthly interruption of my life. It continued for years, an endless cycle of suffering. I had no idea what was wrong with me. Then I was diagnosed with endometriosis.
Endometriosis is a chronic, painful condition of women in their reproductive years. So the condition occurs when the tissue that is normally inside the womb, called the endometrium, gets on the outside. This organ here is the uterus, or the womb, and within it is the endometrium. This is the tissue that is normally shed each month when you have a menstrual flow or a period. And it behaves normally when it flows and you have a period. However, if this tissue flows backwards through the fallopian tube, this structure here, it can land on the ovary, this white structure here, and form endometriotic cysts called endometriomas. It can run down the back of the womb and form deposits here, which can cause pain. The most common symptoms are very painful periods. You may also have infertility and pain during intercourse. Now, if the endometriotic deposits end up in other places, for example, endometriosis has been found in almost every tissue in the body. So it can be in the eye, so rarely. You may have intermittent blindness. It can be in the lung, so you can have shortness of breath, symptoms of a collapsed lung. In the brain, you can have seizures. To diagnose endometriosis, we start with the history of the painful periods. For those patients, we'll ideally do an abdominal and a pelvic examination. The gold standard test is a surgical procedure called laparoscopy. That's where we use a camera, which is inserted in through just below the belly button or the umbilicus, and using powerful lighting sources and optics, we're able to look and examine the pelvis, and then we can see the endometriotic deposits.
My journey with endometriosis began about 7 to 8 years ago when I was trying to get pregnant and couldn't figure out why. Went to the doctor, and after doing several tests, he asked about endometriosis. I'd never heard of it. And he said, well, we do a non-invasive surgery, which is a laparoscopic. They go in through the navel.
By this, we use a camera, as I said, and we use a set of surgical instruments which allow us to enter the abdomen through very small incisions, and we're able to locate the deposits, and we try to excise them or remove them from the pelvis in its entirety.
So I did the surgery, and unfortunately I had what was called a spontaneous abortion. That didn't hold. Tried again a few months later, and I got pregnant. I went to about 5 months, and unfortunately the baby died in vitro. I have not been able to ever get pregnant again.
After making a diagnosis, the mainstay of treatment is going to be dependent on your stage of the disease. So there are medical treatments, so we can use painkillers, oral contraceptive pills, surgical techniques. If you are having debilitating pain, if you're missing school, if you're missing work, then that's not normal and you need to seek the appropriate help. There are specialists who are well trained, both in terms of picking up the symptoms and making the diagnosis and in terms of treatment. And the earlier you're treated, the better the outcome is likely to be.
I think every woman should get checked because we've grown up to hear that once you have a bad period, it's a norm. Unfortunately, for those of us who have it, it's not the norm. I started following Shauna Fuller's story and finding out how she found out that she had it. And I offered my services. I said, I want to spread the word. I volunteered. They have a support group. I went there and met with others. And I also got involved in the march. If you find out you have it, join the Base Foundation. Be a support for somebody. There's nothing better than just that encouraging word. And just know that there's somebody out there who understands.
I can only encourage our women, if any of these symptoms seem to be occurring to you, seek appropriate help through your local obstetrician gynecologist and be referred to a specialist.
If I knew then what I know now, that it had a name, that I wasn't alone, now that you know, don't suffer in silence.
Endometriosis affects 1 in every 10 women and girl worldwide. In Jamaica, over 10,000 women are affected by the disease. Many are not aware that they have it.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Original. From the hills to the valleys, from the mountains to the seas, it all comes rushing down and even sometimes as a splash at the beach. We all need this to survive wherever we go, and by now I'm sure you all know. We use it every day and in every way. I'm talking about water. But do you know how it becomes purified? Stick around and we'll show you how.
The human body cannot function without water. While you may live for up to 3 weeks without food, you cannot go more than a week without water. From breaking down the food we eat so the body can use it, to helping us heal when we get sick, water is needed for almost every process that takes place in the body. And although 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, drinking it directly from seas, rivers, wells or aqueducts may make you sick. Untreated water contains bacteria and other germs, as well as chemicals that may be dangerous to the body. So in order to get the water from here to here safely, it has to be treated. Water treatment processes differ depending on the source. If the water is coming from a river, for example here at the Negro River in St. Thomas, it usually goes through an extensive treatment process before reaching the pipe.
Here is where we do the first type of treatment in the form of sedimentation and screening. Behind me you can see where we screen the bigger stuff like the sticks, the stones and debris. Then we come down to the sediment where we separate the sand from the stones. And then this water will leave from St. Thomas and pipe into Kingston via pipeline into the Mona Reservoir.
The Mona Reservoir is the island's largest raw water storage facility and provides the liquid to over 30% of people living in Kingston and St. Andrew. If this is where you get your water, here is where the next step in the treatment process occurs.
Here in the reservoir, we allow for maximum levels of mixing, maximum levels of aeration, as can be done here at the facility. We also, at the reservoir, you allow for settling out of the silt and the suspended particles, dirt particles, that would otherwise be in the raw water. We then take the water from the reservoir and take it to the Mona treatment plant.
At the treatment plant, chemicals are added to further purify the water. Chlorine is first added to kill bacteria.
You have stages that include flocculation, where we actually add chemicals to the water that allow those microscopic dirt particles that are still in the water to be brought together in what we call flocks, and then we are able to skim it off and remove it from the water.
The water is then passed through filters which contain layers of sand, gravel, charcoal or synthetic materials that remove remaining small particles. The final stage is disinfection. Here, chlorine is added to kill any other bacteria or germ.
Ensuring that we have what we refer to as chlorine residual that goes with the water, so that as the water travels along the pipeline to our customers, should it come in contact with any germs along the way, there is enough chlorine residual in that water to destroy those germs and still be delivered to the customer in good quality.
The water is tested all throughout the treatment process to ensure that what you get in your pipe meets World Health Organization standards.
For several years running, the National Water Commission has won the best tasting water in the Caribbean. We have also been acknowledged by the various arms of the United Nations at different points in time as having one of the best quality water in the hemisphere.
That is definitely something we can drink to.
Public passenger vehicle operators and commercial carriers, renew your road license online. It's as easy as 1-2 click. Visit the Transport Authority website at www.ta.org.jm. Choose your license type and click Apply Now. Sign in or create an account with your email address and complete the application process, uploading all relevant documents. Make payment using a debit or credit card. Once your application is approved, the Transport Authority will email you to collect your sticker. Pick up your sticker in office or utilize our courier service. Once the sticker is collected, your digital road license will be emailed to you. For more information, call the Transport Authority toll-free at 888-991-5687.
This is where we close the chapter on today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us tomorrow on this station for all the information you need to know. Until then, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for this and more. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. See you next time.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.